Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome if you are new, or welcome back if you are not. In today's video I'm talking about what I read in May. So let's get into it. If you want to hear what I read in May, let's go. I think I read a total of 6 books in May, which is pretty good for me. Again, you know, it doesn't really matter the amount of books, but you know, as long as you're reading good books, which I feel like for the most part I read pretty good books in May. Some that I've been meaning to for a while or to finish, but I want to share with you guys what I read. As always, I have some print and then I have some on Kindle as well, because I do have Kindle Unlimited. So one of the first ones that I recently just finished, I had this in a vlog that I was reading, was the first book in the Shadow and Bone, I guess the Grishaverse trilogy. Get my words out. But this is the Shadow and Bone, the first one. I ended up giving this book 3 out of 5. I felt like, so it's a why, I'm sure a lot of you know it's been out for a while. I know I'm a little bit late to the game. And I have the full series, so I'm going to try to read it. But I have been stuck about halfway or 3/4 of the way for a few months now. And so it's a YA fantasy book. And I have gotten a little bit more into fantasy and, you know, what it's more like in the world of it and everything in fantasy books. Overall, I felt like, again, this is why sometimes I've been trying to go a little bit more blindly into books, but sometimes I felt like I heard so much about it. Obviously there's a show on Netflix, which I have not seen yet. I started, but I want to read the books first. I just felt like I was anticipating more. I think maybe because I knew there was a show and because I felt like there's a lot of hype. It just, I don't know, it did not do it for me. It was 3 out of 5. It's not terrible. The one thing that also bothers me, that if you know this book, so it's kind of based, and the author has said like a lot of the things are kind of based on like Russian culture, of Russian language. And so Russian is my first language. I'm a native Russian speaker. I'm from Ukraine. And the things that kind of bothered me about this book, just I was really excited. I was like, oh my gosh, something with Russian language and Russian culture. Like I was really excited about that. And then some of the things that I feel like basic research things that I feel like would have been, you know, for if you're an author. Like, for example, I know it seems silly, but it's kind of, I mean, to me, I'm like, really? For example, knowing the difference between like masculine and feminine names, and that, for example, like if you're female, you have an A at the end of your name, and her name, like just those little things. And also the thing that drove me nuts is the fact that in the book, if you've read it, I know, again, maybe it's silly, but just being someone who is part of this culture, I'm like, really, like, just get those little details. It's kind of annoying. Was that she kept talking about how everyone was like, if they would drink kvass, they were getting drunk off of kvass, which is kind of like, I think she was trying to make the equivalent of beer. But in reality, like, I drink kvass. Like, I have kvass in my fridge right now, and we drink kvass. It's not alcoholic. It's kind of almost like the equivalent to kombucha. So I guess like maybe there's you know what I mean? So it's not like children drink kvass. Like I grew up drinking kvass. So the fact that she's like, yeah, kvass is like everybody's getting wasted off kvass. I'm like, why did you not do your research about it? Like, it's just like those little things that bothered me, because I don't know, it's just being part of, you know, like the language and the culture. I'm like, just, I don't know, not that I'm saying it's a perfect representation, obviously, but it's just like those little things where I'm like, it could have been better research. If you're going to kind of emulate a language, at least do a little bit more research behind it. So that also bothered me. But also I think I'm going to try the second book, but I think because maybe it's the first book, just the world building, I felt like I get in fantasy. I know that's obviously, you need that, but I felt like it just kind of took a while, and I felt like it was very slow to me until finally, like the last quarter of the book, I really got more into it and I was curious. And again, it's about, what is it? Yeah, like, see, Alina Starkov. It should be Starkova. Just putting that out there. Anyway, but it's just a story of her, and I'm not going to give too much about it. I'm sure you guys know, but there's a quest, things are happening, she's discovering that she has this power that she didn't know she had. I really like the elements of her and her friend, like her childhood friend, possibly more. Like, I really like that relationship and that connection. But again, 3 out of 5 for me. It's not horrible, but I'm going to try the second one. I don't know if I'm going to do it right away. Might wait a little bit, but those are my thoughts on that one. The next one that I read was Book Lovers by Emily Henry, and I was so excited. I actually got this when me and my husband went to Target. Like, it wasn't even out on the shelf yet. Online it said it was out, and the person was like, I don't think we have that, so they had to go find it in the back. But I got it. I was so excited. I have realized I'm a big fan of Emily Henry books. I've read her other ones. I have them. I gave this book, I keep going back and forth. I think initially it was like 5 out of 5 stars. Looking back and thinking about it, I think maybe like a 4.5 out of 5, but it's still really, really good. I went through it pretty quick. And I really did enjoy it. It follows the story of Nora. You guys know I'm terrible with names, so I always have to look. It follows the story of Nora and Charlie, and they're kind of in the literary world of books, so ergo book lovers, which I do also enjoy, you know, books about books or literary, anything in that world. I really enjoy that. And she is, I believe, a literary agent, and then Charlie's an editor, and it's kind of like a little bit of grumpy sunshine. He's more grumpy kind of situation. And this one is interesting too, which I know I've heard some people, I saw videos like they didn't really like it, but this also has to do more with her relationship, not just Nora and Charlie and the relationship that they develop and the romance there, but it also focuses on the relationship between Nora and her her sister. I think is it Libby, and she's a big part of the book, and Nora is the oldest, and there is just history of them with her sister. And again, being an older sister and having a sister as well that's younger than me, I really enjoy that element of the book. I thought that was something different, and I really enjoyed Nora's reflection just on herself. They went through some trauma together, and kind of looking back on that, and I kind of could connect to a lot of the things. Like I underlined some things as well and annotated, like I was like, wow, that's, you know, like I don't know, that was really, for me, I really liked it. I also, the one thing I kind of wrote myself a note when I was reading this book, it made me think of the Gilmore Girls, especially if you've read this, the scene where they go to the town hall meeting. I was like, are you watching Gilmore Girls right now? I mean, I don't mind, I love Gilmore Girls, but it gave me a lot of that like small town vibes trope, and like they're, you know, kind of like grumpy, but it's almost like it kind of made me think of Luke. So that's why it kind of made me think of Gilmore Girls while I was reading that. But again, I did really enjoy this book. I don't know, again, if it's 5 stars, I'm kind of in between 4.5 and 5. Just because I did feel like, I don't know, like some of those things was almost like a little like too Gilmore Girls, if you know what I mean. Like I liked it. I thought that Emily Henry does a great job of balancing romance and contemporary fiction. She's really great at that and tackling like tough issues and things. So I think she did really well. But I still, honestly, I would recommend it. I really love a lot of her books, but I think probably like a 4 or 4.5 for me. Really good. Okay, the next book and the next 2 I think are all Kindle Unlimited books. So if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can find them there. I read a few Colleen Hoover books. I've been trying to read through more of her stuff. And so I read one that I came across on Kindle Unlimited, and it was called Too Late, and it's by Colleen Hoover. And honestly, the cover, I'll insert a picture, but it kind of like, I was like, is that a creepy? Is it going to be a thriller? Like, I don't know, because I know Colleen Hoover has done some thrillers and things. So I ended up reading this book. I can also, okay, I go into Colleen Hoover books blind. I don't want to read, like, because just her books are so, you know, like, you don't know, and I don't want to, you know, be spoiled or anything, like, I don't want any spoilers. I just go in and I'm like, whatever happens. So, the book, I ended up rating it a 3 out of 5. So, it follows the story of this girl named Sloane, and they are in college, and she is basically in a relationship with this man, which I don't know how to say his name. Is it Asa? Well, he really is an ass. His name should say something to that. Like right away I was like, it's a very fitting name. But she's dating this guy. He is honestly a terrible human being if you read the book. Yes, there's parts where you can understand kind of why he is the way he is, but he is honestly also terrible. He drove me nuts. My sister read this book with me also, and we were like, oh my gosh, just like messaging each other about him, like he's so terrible. So it follows, like she's in this relationship. She feels like she is trapped because he's kind of, I don't want to give too much away, but basically he kind of does a lot of illegal, corrupt things on campus, supposedly. He's kind of, you know, doing that whole world of like crime and stuff. And then she's kind of trapped in this, and she feels like she's trapped, and she has to depend on him for certain reasons, which, I mean, if you find out, you'll read why she feels that way. But basically she's trapped and she hates it, and she's like, I don't really love this man anymore, but here I am, I have to do it. Then there is this guy who's in her Spanish class. They meet one day. His name is Carter, and there's obviously more to Carter than what he initially comes off as, and you as the reader are finding out. Eventually Sloane also finds that out, and I feel like this book again, Colin Hoover's writing always sucks me in, so I read the whole thing pretty quick. Like, I got so into it. The thing is that I found this weird. Definitely there is triggering things. It's like very graphic. It deals with like intense things, a lot of like sexual assault and things, which was kind of intense. So just be aware of that as well. But also what I think bothered me is that I felt like the initial story was interesting, but then towards the end, me and my sister were talking about this, I felt like there was a lot of almost like repetition that I feel like I kind of see what Colin Hoover was doing, because it's like she's sharing the same story but from the perspective of Sloane, and then from this perspectives, use our words, perspective of Asa or Asa, I don't know. But it just felt very repetitive sometimes, and it just also felt like, I don't know, like the story was just like a little too crazy and like weird. Like it was just so intense. So yeah, I don't know. It's like I don't know how to even really rate it. I gave it a 3 out of 5 because I'm not like wowed by it. Like it's not a 5 out of 5 read for me. It's not terrible, it keeps you engaged, but it is just like, I mean, it's a Colin Hoover, so it's just like a whole kind of crazy, its own thing. So do with that what you will, but I read that. And the next series that I also found on Kindle Unlimited was kind of recommended to me, I think, because of Colin Hoover. So this is a series, it's called the Never Never series. It technically has 3 like novellas or 3 books, and Colin Hoover is one of the authors, as well as Taryn Fisher. I don't know, I just, like, again, I saw Colin Hoover, so I was like, I'll give it a try. So I ended up overall rating it a 3 out of 5 also. Again, I flew through the whole series because on Kindle Unlimited, they're kind of like one book, but it's technically 3 separate things. The story follows these 2 characters, Charlie and, name check because I never know, Silas. There he goes, so Charlie and Silas. And the story begins with them they are in class, they are in high school, they're high school students, I believe they're seniors, but they have no recollection and no memory, just the both of them. So like other people know them and stuff, but they for some reason have no memory, they don't understand what's been happening, and so they're like, am I going crazy? They don't realize that the other one is also feeling that way until later, they don't know. So basically they're trying to figure out, who are we, what are we, like why do we lose our memory? And supposedly they are boyfriend and girlfriend, so they're like trying to figure out, you know, what happened. Is this like, are we insane? Is this like some weird alien abduction thing? Like what is happening? So they're pretty much on this quest to figure out together why they are losing their memories and figure out who they really are, but also who they used to be. I really enjoyed, I have to say, the first book, and more so the second book. I would rate those probably a 4 out of 5. I feel like in the first book you're really into it. It's like you're curious, like what happened? You know, why are they not remembering? Is this like some sort of sci-fi thing? Like, you know, you don't know really. So there's like, it's that intrigue, and it's really interesting. It keeps you going. The chapters are also short, so it's nice that pacing is really quick and you just keep going and going. And so I really enjoyed the first and the second one. Again, there's almost kind of like an adventure, and you're getting to know also the past of who they used to be and their family characters as well, and also just seeing kind of that development of who they are now. And I really enjoyed that character development of seeing of like them learning from who apparently they used to be prior to this whole like forgetting situation and realizing they weren't maybe that great of people, but also seeing their relationship as a couple like change because of this whole situation happening to them. And then there was the third book, and I don't know what I was expecting. I think I was expecting something like weird or different just because Colin Hoover is the writer, and I thought like, oh, maybe there's some crazy plot twist and like maybe a sci-fi twist, or I don't know what I was thinking. I wanted to be like, oh, or you know, I don't know. But basically I felt very let down by the ending. I feel like I get like it's supposed to be a cute kind of romance. I don't know. I understand that the ending, I guess, but I also didn't at the same time, if that makes sense. Like I was kind of like reading it and I was like, wait, what? Like, don't tell me that this is the end. Like it just kind of almost like ended. I felt like it kind of felt rushed, and I felt like the feeling of the third book didn't really mesh with the other 2. If you've read this, let me know how you feel about that. But that's kind of how I felt. So I feel like it was kind of really a letdown. Like the third book, I was like, that is not at all what I thought it would be. So I rated the whole series overall 3 out of 5. Like I said, first 2 are a lot better, I think. But yeah, so I mean, I think I'd recommend it. Try it out. It's definitely something different. I've never kind of seen too many of this kind of like the topic and kind of how it was done for me personally, but it's not like my favorite, you know, oh my gosh, book of the month. The last book that I read, I really enjoyed, it was Sky in the Deep. Again, this is on Kindle Unlimited. This is a Viking era kind of book, and I really was intrigued because if you know, last year I really enjoyed the first girl child, and that's like Viking era time too, and I really liked it, and so I was intrigued by this one and I wanted to try it out. I ended up giving it, I think, 4 out of 5 stars. It follows the story of Elin, I think. I never know how to say the names, but she is from the Oska tribe, and the Oska tribe every 5 years and just their whole life is based on the existence that they hate this other tribe, which are called the Reiki, I'm not sure. So basically every 5 years these two tribes meet and they just like fight in a field and kill each other, and then they go back and they hate each other for 5 years and they meet up again and kill each other. So there's just this rivalry between the two tribes. And so it starts off with, it's like it's 5 years, now it's time to go to battle, and she's really going into battle and getting ready to take revenge on these Reiki tribe, because the last 5 years ago they killed her brother in battle, and so she's like, this is it, I'm getting my revenge. So she goes into battle, she's like total BA like fighter, she's awesome, which was really cool to see and just kind of like visualize. I think it was done really well, the language of visualization, like I could really see it in my head. And she's going, and then she's fighting this Reiki clans member, and she's about to kill him, and all of a sudden she realizes that it's her brother, and she was like, wait, like she thought she was seeing a ghost or something, and they're like, nope, it was her brother. And she was like, that's impossible, he's dead. So there is kind of the mystery, and she was like, what? So just figuring that, like, is her brother dead or not? And then later paths get intertwined between her and some of the Reiki clan members, and so I found it really interesting. There's concepts of found family from just the different sides. There is kind of an enemies to lovers in there as well, which I really enjoyed. I really liked the characters. I think there's also a second book that's part of this series. I don't think it's a continuation of these characters, but like in that same world of the different clans. The only thing, the downside that I say, that the reason I gave it 4 out of 5 stars is because I felt like the ending was a little bit rushed, and I felt like it was kind of like, and then the relationship building between her and one of the romance character, I felt like it was just so quick, and I was like, I just felt like it needed a little bit more because it just kind of abruptly ended. And it wasn't terrible, like it wasn't a terrible ending, but again, it just felt a little rushed to me, and I felt like I just needed a little more there. And but overall I really enjoyed it. I like it. I definitely want to check out the second book in the series. I think it's called A Girl the Sea Gave Back is what it is. So if you read the series, let me know your thoughts. But those are my reads for May. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video, and happy reading everyone. Bye.